Let's imagine what Herndon used to look like during the Civil War. The small train station with a new post office inside, recently named for Commander William Lewis Herndon, stood here along the Alexandria, Loudon, and Hampshire Railroad. The tracks were in disrepair as the railroad had been abandoned in this area at the very beginning of the war in 1861. Those tracks ran along today's W&OD Trail. There were a few buildings for local business located around the depot where we stand today. Narrow dirt roads were used by the local farmers to bring their milk here. That was taken by train and sold in the city of Washington. The few hundred farmers in the area lived in fear of the patrols of soldiers from both sides that moved through the area looking for enemy soldiers as well as for food for themselves. The area was controlled by the Confederate Army until March of 1862, when they moved south. After that, the area around the train station was used as an outpost for the Union forces guarding the outskirts of the city of Washington. On March 17th, St. Patrick's Day in 1863, the local population was terrified as Confederate Captain John Singleton Mosby made a raid on the Union picket post at the train depot, but mostly at a sawmill near the Ice House Cafe at the intersection of Eldon and Center Streets today. The post consisted of 25 men of the 1st Vermont Cavalry under Lieutenant Alexander Watson. Watson joined 3 other Union officers, Major Wells, Captain Schofield, and Lieutenant Cheney of the 1st Vermont Cavalry, who had ridden to the Herndon station from Drainesville earlier in the day to investigate charges that the Union soldiers had been stealing from the local citizens.
You just take and take and take. What about our family? Well, we have our own family. That's what we're trying to say to you. And I know you say you're looking into it, but we have our own family.
We'll consider this and look into it. Lieutenant Watson, sir, please look into that, will you please?
And what do we do in the meantime? What do we eat?
Lieutenant Watson will do what best he can to rectify the situation.
After their investigation, the 4 Union officers went to the house of Nathaniel Hanna, a loyal Northerner who had invited Lieutenant Watson for lunch. Nathaniel was away at the time, so the lunch was served by his wife, Kitty Kitchen Hanna, a loyal Southerner. At noon on that day, Mosby approached the station with his men from out of the woods and came upon the cavalry pickets who were stationed around the sawmill. The Union soldiers saw Mosby coming, but having been on picket duty for the 48 hours earlier, thought Mosby's men were a relief party.
First Sergeant, is that a relief?
Yeah, that looks like it.
It's about time you men got here. We've been on guard duty for 12 hours. Where have you been? Huzzah! Huzzah!
Mosby's men were wearing blue overcoats covering their gray uniforms. The Union soldiers did not realize that the riders were Confederate raiders until Mosby made a charge, quickly captured most of them, and with the rest electing to surrender. Such was the surprise attack, they did not have a chance to fire their guns.
Mosby? Where's that scoundrel Mosby?
Who's in charge here?
He's in charge here.
Come out here!
Squinty out, rascal.
I demand your surrender.
I surrender. Never surrender.
Never surrender?
Never surrender.
I need not attack your men in this sawmill. I only need set it ablaze. Light some fires, men!
I'd rather be captured than burned out.
Yep. Better captured than roasted.
Surrender?
Surrender.
Surrender.
Get him out here. Shoot me out. Over here. Andersonville. Detail.
That's the horse devil himself. That's that blind-hearted scoundrel Mosby. Keep your hands up.
He's up on your big mouth, and you ain't.
And these are the
He's up on your big mouth.
traitors that ride with Mosby.
And you don't let me prison. Place.
As Mosby's men were leaving the sawmill, they noticed the 4 horses tied in front of the nearby Hannah House, which was located at today's Main Street Bank across Eldon Street, where the 4 officers of the 1st Vermont Cavalry were still having lunch. As Mosby surrounds the house, 2 of the Union officers, Cheney and Watson, rushed out only to be captured.
Keep your hands up. Trooper Jones, keep an eye on these 2. Heard something in there?
Wells and Schofield tried to hide in the attic. One of Mosby's Rangers went in the house and fired a shot through the ceiling, calling for their surrender, causing Major Wells to fall through the ceiling directly into the hands
Shoot a hole in that
of his
ceiling.
captors.
Hey, there he is. Get him out of here. We got him. Come on. Hands up. Prisoners and good lunch too. Go back in there and get us some lunch, troop. Welcome to Richmond, boys. You'll enjoy it down there. You would so kindly join us across the street. Bring your mounts. Bring your mounts. Hands down. Hands down. Bring your mounts. Don't try nothing funny. Great.
Wondering when you're coming out.
After you troopers.
Y'all townspeople seen any other Federals around Herndon?
Tell them nothing. Tell them nothing.
Moving fire! Away! Move forward. Take them out. Popular Confederate.
Get myself a nice rifle.
Additional men from the Vermont Cavalry in Drainesville did give chase to Mosby and his men to the Horsepen Run southwest of the station, where Mosby's men opened fire and the Union soldiers retreated. Mosby reported his very successful raid on Herndon Station, capturing 25 soldiers and 26 horses without a loss. He also reported the lunch disappeared with him as well. Within a couple of weeks after this raid on St. Patrick's Day, however, Mosby again rode into Herndon, stopping at Kitty Kitchen Hannah's house once again. Kitty later recounted what happened next.
The leader rode into our yard and left his horse standing and knocked at the front door. "Madam," he said, "I come to apologize to you for my men shooting at your house a week or so back." "So they did," I replied, but said no more. "Can you let me have a newspaper to read, madam?" he said. "No, sir, I can't." Mosby was too polite to insist, and he turned and walked away. I never saw him after, but in his book he called me a Union woman. He little knew how my heart was torn to pieces. I wished harm to nobody and cared for many a soldier, Northern and Southern alike. I grew nervous seeing scouts at all hours and soldiers rushing by with bayonets pointed at my home, but I let that pass and bygones be bygones.